Hi everyone, welcome to my kitchen. Tonight we'll be making some penne pasta with vegetables. So I'm happy to have you join me. This is a really quick dish. It's great for a weeknight meal. It's also very healthy and it's very adaptable. There's a variety of different spices and vegetables you can use. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. But to get started, we want to go ahead and get our noodles boiling, our pasta boiling. Again, I've chosen to use penne pasta tonight, and I'm using a whole grain pasta. And we'll talk a little bit in a second about why that's important. But I've gone ahead and boiled the pasta, and it's nice and tender, and I've kept it here. We'll be putting it into our skillet in a moment. I've reserved some of the liquid that I used to boil this, and I've got it simmering here in our portable skillet. So when I boiled the pasta, I used 2.5 cups of the penne, and then I boiled it in 2 cups of water mixed with 2 cups of vegetable broth. And then again, I've taken about 1/2 cup of that liquid, added it back into the skillet, and it's simmering here. And so the first thing we'll do is go ahead and add our vegetables. Tonight I've chosen zucchini. You can use a large zucchini or 2 small. And I've just kind of chopped it into a thick, rough chop. So I'll add that into our skillet and start to get that nice and tender. And then as well, I'm going to add in 1 tomato that I've chopped roughly as well. And I'll add that to our skillet. And then I also decided to use a 15-ounce can of cannellini beans. And so I've rinsed these and I've drained them. And I'll go ahead and put these in the skillet as well. And again, this is just going to saute for a few minutes. We just want to get that zucchini to start to tenderize, and then the tomatoes will start to break down a bit. And I've also decided to add basil to my recipe, so I'm going to sprinkle 1.5 teaspoons of dried basil into our skillet. And you can use whatever kind of seasoning you prefer. So I'm going to turn the heat up just a little, get this going, start to saute and tenderize, and then we will check on that in just a moment. While that's cooking, let's visit for just a minute about some different ideas to adapt this recipe. The first thing I mentioned is that I'm using the whole wheat pasta. And whole wheat is important in our body because it has lots of fiber. And fiber, as we know, helps with our digestive process. It helps with the feeling of satiety, or that feeling of being full for a longer period of time. It kind of helps us sometimes not overeat. So it's a really important nutrient. And because we're using the whole wheat pasta, we are definitely getting a big kick of fiber in that. Again, I've used basil tonight, dried basil. You could use fresh and just save it for the end of the recipe and sprinkle it on at the end as you're plating your food. If you'd rather have kind of a Mexican flavored dish, you could try some cumin with some dried or fresh cilantro, maybe some chili powder, some oregano. If you'd like maybe an Asian flair, you could sprinkle some soy sauce into your skillet. Maybe sprinkle on some ginger and some chili flakes. So whatever kind of seasonings you have on hand and that you and your family like, that's the way to go. This is really adaptable. And then I also mentioned that I use the cannellini beans. I have a can in my pantry, and this dish is meatless, and so my cannellini beans are going to be a really great source of protein, and I've decided to use that as my protein food group tonight. And incidentally, at the end of our recipe, we'll probably, or we could, sprinkle on some Parmesan cheese when we've plated this meal. And so really 4 of our 5 food groups are represented tonight. We've got our grain group with the pasta. We've got several varieties of vegetables. The Parmesan cheese would serve as a dairy food. And then our beans are serving as our protein tonight. have a side dish of fruit, and you're eating from all 5 of our My Plate food groups. So really easily adaptable, and again, it's something that you can throw together quickly for a weeknight meal after you get home from work and the kids get home from school and things are just kind of busy in those evenings. These kind of meals that are quick and easy to throw together are often the way to go. And you can use what you have in your pantry. If you have a different type of pasta, you can use that. If you have some vegetables that you've grown in your garden or that you have in your refrigerator, you can chop those up, throw them in, maybe some different types of summer squash or winter squash. Some onion would be great in this, some carrots. You could throw in some broccoli or corn at the end. It doesn't take quite as long to cook, so you could throw that in sort of at the end of the sauteing process. And just make it your own. Make it something that your family likes. And one of my favorite parts is I kind of created a mess tonight for the presentation, but if you're doing this at home, it's really a 1 skillet meal. You can boil your pasta in the skillet, and you can reserve as much liquid as you need, or you could drain some off, and then just remove the pasta for a minute while you saute the vegetables in the skillet, and then add them back in or straight to your dinner plate. So it really is a meal that requires very little dishwashing at the end, which is really nice, and again, a great tip for those weeknight meals. Okay, our zucchini is starting to tenderize and soften. Our tomatoes are breaking down just a little, and our beans are warming up. And so, for the sake of time, I think I'll go ahead and plate this. You can make your zucchini as tender as you'd like. Perhaps if we weren't on camera tonight, I would let this cook just a tiny bit longer to go ahead and break down that zucchini even further. But I want to show you what we have so far. I'll get some of my pasta here. Penne pasta is a really great thick pasta, and so it's really hearty and kind of goes a long way as far as bulking up your meal. But you can use what you have on hand or what your favorite is. And I will show you what I have. Doesn't that look delicious? Again, make it your own. I'd love to hear if you make this meal, what you like to have in your skillet meal, what your family enjoys, so feel free to comment. And as well, when this gets posted, I will post a link to a website, the buyeatlivebetter.org website. That is part of the MSU Nutrition Program, and we have great fact sheets there about different types of foods and vegetables. We have some great recipes, and we have information about upcoming classes around the state that are free to attend. So we'd love to have you visit, and I'll include that link along with this video post. Thanks for joining me. Happy cooking.